Okay guys, this is DJ coming at you. I'm back with a review for you on the Easy Motion Neo Prox. Okay, what we have here is again a 20-inch electric bicycle from Easy Motion. It has a 350 watt rear hub motor right down in here. Geared rear hub motor. 36 volt lithium ion battery. I think it's 9 amp hour. Electric bicycle. Personally, I think it is the best all around 20-inch electric bicycle on the market. One thing that makes it very nice is the fact that you cannot tell that it is an electric bicycle unless you know quite a bit about electric bicycles. Okay, I did some modifications to mine, such as the tires. What I did was, when I purchased this bike, I wanted to convert it into a mountain bike, and that's what I did. I didn't have to do a lot. A mountain slash cross-country trail bike. That's what I call it. Okay, and all I did was basically, I changed, put some slime tubes in my tires, some slime tubes, more puncture resistant. Extra thick are the best way to go. Makes the bike a little heavier, but you got more protection. But what I did was I went with the Maxxis tires. Okay, as you can see, these are called the Maxxis Max Daddy tires. Look at the awesome tread on these tires. It is phenomenal. Yeah, look at the tread. Very much like a motorcycle tire. Yeah, very nice tread on the tires. But anyway, this bike comes with the dyno in the front. So you got your little generator there to power your front light and to power your rear light there. And it does a very decent job at doing that. This is still, it's a solid frame 20-inch bike. It's non-folding, which is why I bought the bike, because I do have both. I have the Neo Sport and I have this Neo Prox. The Neo Prox, again, I purchased it because it's a solid frame. It can take more abuse on the trails than the folding bike can. It's a smoother ride on the trails. So that's my reasoning for purchasing the Neo Prox, is to have a smaller trail bike that can go anywhere, And again, this is still a semi-folding bike because your pedals fold, as you can see right here. Pedals fold down still. And also the handlebars still do fold down. So that is why it's still a semi-folding bike. And of course you got the seat post, which is really nice and has a lot of length to it. Okay. I did something different. I actually changed the handlebars on my bike. These are actually full-length mountain bike handlebars right there that I'm using. For those of you who might want to do the same upgrade, as I would call it, I call it an upgrade because you got more width, more stability. The diameter of the bar is 25.4. So if you find some mountain bike handlebars with a diameter of 25.4, they will work. Things you might want to do with this bike: go to Walmart, get you some bags. Nice and cheap, between $15 and $10. Nice bags to keep your tools and whatever in. Okay, let's talk about the quality of ride of the bike. This bike has the same electronics as my Neo jumper there in the background. Okay, so the top speed on these bikes is like 18 to 20 miles an hour. At least that's where mine tops out at. My Neo jumper will do like 22 with pedal assist before the motor cuts out, but the Neo Prox, it tops out about 19 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. It does real good. You have more torque with the Neo Prox due to the fact that the wheel is smaller. So this bike actually has more torque than the Neo jumper, which is very interesting and very nice. Range. Again, I have the Neo Sport, the folding version of this bike. I was able to travel 65 miles in economy before the battery was dead, before there was no longer a battery meter. It was down to 0. I traveled 65 miles, and that included two major hill climbs. I live in Florida, and I was headed to the beach, and we have to go over what we call the intercoastal, and they have the bridges in Florida are very steep, so the incline was more like this, and I was able to achieve, and I have a damaged knee, by the way, but I was still going 16 mile an hour uphill in economy, so that says a lot for this motor of the Easy Motion bikes. It says a lot. I have approximately 200 and something miles, right at 300 miles on this. This bike I have about 700 miles on the Neo Jumper, and on my Neo Volt Sport I have approximately 700 miles. So I got a little experience with these bikes. I ride them to work. I rode my Jumper to work yesterday, and I ride all of them. None of them sit around. I ride all of them. These two right here, again, the Neo Prox, I take to the mountain bike trails or trail riding here in Jacksonville, Florida. And of course, the Jumper is unmatched. It's totally awesome. But back to the Prox, it does real well in the trails. It's just that these trails here in Florida have a lot of roots. But as far as off-road, you got the bigger tires, because the tires that came with the Neo Prox were street-oriented tires. They were not knobby tires. So the Neo Prox, when you buy it, it comes with fenders. Comes as a street-ready bike. Well, I converted it again into a mountain/cross-country trail bike. That's what I call it. Again, you're not going to jump any ramps with this because you have this long stem. In most of these folding bikes with the long stem necks, you do get a bit of flex, a little bit of flex. So you can't ride them like you would ride the Jumper off-road, because, you know, this long extension here is going to flex a little bit, and you don't want to go crazy and snap that. At least I don't want to go crazy and do that. But anyway, the ride quality of this bike is very nice. I don't have any complaints about it. I mean, it's an awesome bike. The complaint that I do have about this bike is that BH Easy Motion discontinued making the Neo Prox, is what I've heard. And that's a big mistake. This is an awesome platform for a bike. It's a solid frame, semi-folding electric bike. I can roll this bike. When I drop the handlebars and drop the seat posts, I can roll it right into the back of my SUV. That is totally awesome, and that's what I like about it. Like when I don't want to deal with the Jumper, I can just deal with my my Neo Prox. You know, don't have to take off any tires. It stands right up in the back of my SUV. And I think that's quite awesome. Quite awesome. What else can I tell you? Torque. Oh man, this is a good topic to talk about. I have to really give BH Easy Motion electric bikes big props. This motor back here is incredible. The Dapu motor here is incredible. Now, you won't be real impressed, probably. I mean, it'll speed you up to about 18-20 miles an hour. But where this motor really shines is in pedal assist mode. I mean, you can leave the bike pretty much in economy on any terrain, hills or whatever, and that suffices. You know, and you have to remember, you have 3 more levels of pedal assist. But the motor, the gear hold, this geared motor here has an extraordinary amount of torque. Very surprised at how much torque this motor has. Now, I've heard reviews and people say that you know, mid-drive systems have more torque, like the Bosch systems. I know the Bosch systems, I haven't tried one yet. I want to try one. I know that they're more sensitive and they're more to cadence and all that stuff. They are very responsive, and I do like that. I want to try one day, so I can't say which one I like the best, because on all the Easy Motion bikes, I got 3 of them, by the way, all of them, when you pedal and you stop, you get like half a revolution of wheel turn. Yeah. So if you're on a technical trail, that ain't good. That's not good. But if you're cross-country riding, you're just cruising, or you're on the road cruising, that extra push, you stop pedaling, you get that extra little push. It feels real good, and it's nice. It's actually really cool. But when you get close to cars, you usually want to, you know, go to throttle mode or just pedal as a normal bike, because when you stop, you're going to get like a half a revolution of wheel turn, and that can be dangerous in technical areas. So I'm sure the Bosch system would be more applicable if you wanted to ride technical trails and use, you know, the power on technical trail riding. But if you're doing cross country, I think you're more than safe. Be more than happy with the Easy Motion. They do great. They do really good. But you do get that extra wheel turn. The Neo Prox here, the Easy Motion Neo Prox, it has the brakes on it are just rim brakes. I plan on converting probably to disc brakes. If not front and back disc brakes, at least rear disc brakes. I'd like to have a nice hydraulic disc brake setup for the rear of this bike. Would be really nice, as opposed to the rim brakes. Now the Neo Volt Sport, which I have, it has the exact same components as this bike. The Agura, hydraulic brakes front and rear. So if you're looking at getting the Neo Prox or the Neo Volt Sport, the folding version of this bike, you have to do some thinking, because there is a difference. Of course, the disc brakes totally outshine the rim brakes big time. You got better components there, so you sacrifice a bit. But what you do get with the Neo Prox, you get a solid frame bike. So if you want to go light trail riding or mountain biking, even on it, this bike is going to handle the vibration and everything much better, because it's just like a solid frame bike, so you have to think about that when it comes down to getting the Neo Prox or the Neo Volt Sport. Now also with this bike, the Neo Prox, that you get an advantage of is the seat post. This bike has an extra long seat post. I think it's 500 millimeters, something like that. The reason being is this seat post, when they made the Neo Prox, they kept the same seat post that they use for the Neo Volt Sport. Okay, it did that because of this seat post is used to lock the Neo Volt Sport into lock the frame to keep it from folding. You can see the line right here, the minimum insertion line. So you lose all that seat height, that seat post height, when you have the Neo Volt Sport. So me, I'm 5'11" and a half, close to 6 feet. I can get my full leg extension with this seat post, which is what I like. That's another reason I bought it, is because I get that full leg extension. If I would have bought this bike first, I would not have bought the folding bike, even though I like the disc brakes and all that better. If I would have bought this bike first, which I should have, and just converted it, I could have saved some money. But I really wanted a smaller mountain bike, and this is doing a great job. But again, the Neo Volt Sport, it has better brakes and things, disc brakes, and it folds. So you can save like a foot of space. If you look at the Neo Prox right now, the Neo Volt, you push a little button right there and you pull it up and it folds up. You save about a foot and a half of space if that's what you're looking to do. Or it may be a little easier to get in the back of a car. Also, the Neo Volt Sport has a quick release rim. Also, let me get back to the torque thing again. Mid-drive versus rear hub motor. I haven't ridden mid-drive system, so I can't really say how I feel about it. But as far as torque, these motors, along with pedaling anyway, it's incredible. I don't know how much more torque the mid-drive system is going to have, but I can tell you this much. In economy on either one of these bikes, I got the Neo Jumper and the Neo Prox. In economy, it will get you through anything, with the first level of pedal assist. I don't know how much torque you need. So to me personally, this bike right here, the Easy Motion Neo Prox, or even the Jumper, I believe Easy Motion could get by with 250 watt motor. I don't believe they even need to have a 350 watt motor, because I'm only using level 1 of pedal assist. This thing has like four levels of pedal assist. So if I'm using level 1 with a 350 watt motor, I'm sure that a 250 watt motor, which would have maybe 3 levels or 4 levels of pedal assist, would more than suffice in a second level to equal it out. That's just me talking, but if they were to do that, they would have even a lighter bike and a smaller motor in the rear. Keep the same battery, if VH were to keep the same battery and just put a 250 watt motor. Now, why am I saying 250 watt? Because it would just make the bike a little bit lighter. This bike weighs about 45 pounds, the Neo Prox. About 45 pounds. Not that it's heavy, but I just think I think you would get a lighter bike in more range, because the motor wouldn't, you know, you'd probably get an 80 mile to 100 mile range with a 250 watt motor if I'm hitting a 65 mile range with this bike in the first level of pedal assist. So yeah, but I'll tell anybody, the coolest thing about these BH bikes is the fact that they do not look like an electric bike unless you know what an electric bike looks like, or if you've seen these bikes before. Because the battery, again, is mounted in the down tube right here, which is totally awesome. Totally awesome. They're very well built bikes. I've had the jumper for a year now. BH, that was my first one. This was supposed to be my first one, but they gave me a good deal on the jumper. I've had that first. The Neo Prox came third. I actually got my Neo Volt after I had the jumper. My reason being for buying the Neo Volt Sport, I shattered my knee back in last November, and I used it as a rehab bike once the doctor cleared me to ride in February, March. So helped to build my leg back up. I still got to wait. I'm about at a 50 to 60% as far as my leg being healed, getting back to normal. So it's getting better. But yeah. I just take it easy when I ride. But anyway, hope I answered some questions that you may have had about the Neo Prox. Again, I highly, if you can find it. I've seen this bike for $1,200, which is a steal. You know, $1,200 for a bike like this is crazy, because if you try to put together your own electric bike, you're going to spend at least $1,500 to $2,000 just for a decent kit. But if you buy this bike, you get it all balanced. So see if you guys can hunt it down, because you know the only one that they sell right now, I believe, is the black version, and it's the folding version. If you want to have a 20-inch mountain bike, electric bike, you know, this is the one to get. This is the bike to get. I tell anybody, if you want a smaller electric bike, this bike is, you can't even, I mean, it's awesome. It's very low key. You're not going to know that it's an electric bike. And the torque on it is amazing. And the throttle is really nice to cruise around with also. Okay, I hope I answered your questions as far as, you know, various things you may have wanted to know about the bike. Awesome bike. Dyno works good. Could be brighter, but it works good enough. You know, torque is outstanding. Components, very well built bicycle. Have no regrets on either one of them. They both do good on the trails, of course. No suspension on this bike. I'm working on that. I'm going to see if I can get a front fork with some suspension on it. Hopefully a RockShox would be really nice on this platform, on this 20-inch Prox. So that's what I'm hoping to do, is find a RockShox for it, or if not a RockShox, somebody that makes a quality front fork that will work on this bike. That would just set it off even more. So yeah, I hope this review helped you. Later.